Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Rafferty, and I am proud to be the host of the Let's Work Inclusively podcast. And I'm very excited to have two special guests, but before I introduce them, I'd like to tell a little bit about what Let's Work Inclusively podcast is all about. The purpose of the podcast is to showcase influential leaders through meaningful conversations, to highlight the business, government, and nonprofit landscapes, and the work that they're doing to collaborate with one another. Today, we are featuring two special guests from the city of Richardson, Mayor Amir Omar, as well as City Manager Don Magner. I am thrilled to have both of them here because, frankly, we have a long-standing relationship with the city of Richardson. The North Texas Disability Chamber is a regional organization that empowers this podcast, and I'm excited to feature these individuals. And before I begin, I just wanted to tease the purpose of these topics. And the topics is really about city management, civic engagement, accessibility, and inclusion. And so therefore, I'd like to introduce Don. Don, could you tell us, the viewers, a little bit about yourself and what you do and any fun facts that you might have?
Great. Thank you, Dylan. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. We're really honored to be here today. My journey with the city of Richardson started almost 30 years ago. In 1996, I joined in an entry-level position with the city, and I've been blessed many times to be asked to take on new responsibilities and to grow with the organization. And in March of 2022, I was given the opportunity and promoted to city manager, and so that's what I've done since. And it was about that time that we first met.
Yes.
And so it's been an honor of mine as city manager to kind of nurture our relationship and to support all the amazing work that you're doing here in North Texas.
I can say, Don, the relationship has been strong from the beginning. And that was right around the time when we sort of established ourselves, even though founded in 2020, but we really kicked off in April of 2022. So this is our fourth year. We're going into 5 years next year. So really grateful for you and your leadership within the city of Richardson. So Mayor Omar, please tell us a little bit about you. And you are a recently newly elected mayor of Richardson. And tell us a little bit about you and any fun facts you might have.
Sure. I'm not sure that I'm that fun, so there probably won't be very many fun facts, but I'm just incredibly proud to be the mayor of the city of Richardson. I have been in the community and have been serving the community for a couple decades now, and I'm just really honored. It's starting off doing, of course, neighborhood type activities, but moving on into city council terms that were years ago from 2009 through 2013, and only recently running for mayor and becoming mayor just May of this last year. So it's been a real honor to not only serve a city that I love, but also to, get to meet incredible partners like yourself and the North Texas Disability Chamber. It's super exciting to be able to kind of learn every single day and see what we can do to kind of incrementally improve what we're doing as we go along.
Any fun facts about you?
No, sadly, I don't lead a very fun life. I love photography, if that qualifies. And although I've done quite a bit of it, I continue to love planting trees. So those are two fun facts. How about that?
Well, very good. Well, I will say my fun fact for both of you is that I'm a Richardson native, and so I grew up off of Campbell and Jupiter, which is where Yale Elementary is. And so they're not far from that neighborhood. And I used to play soccer with the Richardson Soccer Association. So I have a history in Richardson, especially in the early to late 90s. So our next segment of this subject is really about Richardson's strategic focus on inclusion and community engagement. Don, over the last couple of years, the city has really, and when I say Don, I mean City Manager Don Magner, really emphasized the purpose of inclusion, specifically in and around the Wildflower Festival, as well as the parks, as well as I know you have a park, I can't remember the name, but could you elaborate on your vision as a city manager in regards to the accessible, inclusive city facilities and public-facing sites that you guys have in Richardson.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, let me start off by saying that Mayor Omar and the City Council really set that vision. As a matter of fact, the City Council updated its mission statement to include the word accessibility.
Yeah.
So the purposefulness of that really starts with the mayor and the council.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to be able to kind of execute and try to be able to implement certain strategies to help help the council achieve its goals. And so a couple of the things that we've done that I think are really important recently, I just start off with one. It's a little nerdy, maybe. A lot of people probably say, why would you start with that? But it's really important. It's our ADA transition plan.
Yes.
For the first time in the city's history, we are creating a formal plan. And so we're looking at everything in this ADA transition plan, everything from our infrastructure, which is very important, obviously, but importantly, programs and services, policies, and even our digital footprint, our website, and other items like that. And so with the council's support, as we wrap up this plan in February and present it to the council for their feedback and hopefully adoption, we will have a roadmap for implementing our plan around all things accessibility for the first time.
Yeah.
And that roadmap is really important because that allows me to take action items back to the council during budget development and other opportunities. And so having that plan and working that plan will really further our efforts in this realm. I'll let maybe, if you don't mind, I'll let the mayor maybe talk about the inclusive playground.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start by saying, and you know, Don gives us a lot of credit, maybe a little more credit than we deserve. And as you look at that, you know, in many ways, we stand on the shoulders of previous councils and previous mayors. In my case, I have, you know, the honor to essentially follow two mayors and two different councils who really made commitments towards that idea of inclusivity and accessibility, you know, starting with the Blue Ribbon panel that I know we talked about before we went on the air, but you know, Mayor Velker's leadership on that front, those councils being interested in starting up an actual commission that would focus on that, and Mayor Doobie's ability to actually usher that in. So in many ways, I'm a recipient to the good work that's happened beforehand, and am really proud to be able to see what I can do to kind of further that initiative. The Ann Eisman inclusive playground that we were referencing a moment ago is not only an amazing kind of first foray into really doing a fully inclusive playground, but what's been neat about it is it's probably one of the most used playgrounds in our entire park system. It just is really impressive to see how many people are drawn to that space, and the continued investment by partners like the Rotary Club who want to see what they can do to continue to improve it, because they also are seeing what magical things are happening there. So it's been great to see that, and hopefully it's the sort of thing that we can learn from and continue to expand in our city.
Yeah, you both brought up good points, and I just want to stress the importance that building those relationships with the city and working with not only council and the mayor, but also working with city staff, because truly their goal and their end goal in mind is to create a space where everybody belongs, and to utilize the services that are provided to the public. I know you guys are building a new city hall. You're building a new library, which I remember that library just like as if it was last night. And I remember the spaces that are used, and especially during the holiday season, that festival, small little town that they created outside of the library. All of those things bring back memories. I wanted to sort of highlight what is, and this is going to be for both of you. You guys can frame it however you wish, but what is your core vision in and around accessibility within the city of Richardson?
Well, let me build on something you just said, if you don't mind. So Santa's Village, you're referring to Santa's Village, a wonderful tradition in Richardson. I want to just mention something. You mentioned that, and it made me come to mind. So last night, we had what we call our adaptive night at Santa's Village.
Oh, wow.
And we had 700 participants last night. It was uniquely for anyone who wanted to take advantage of this night. And the idea behind it is the music is a lot lower than it normally is.
Yes.
The lights we don't flash lights. And so there's a whole strategy around
Yes.
Creating an experience at Santa's Village for those that may need something different than what is ordinarily provided. And so you made me think of that, and I just thought it would be neat to share that with you. That's a component of Santa's Village that we do every year now.
Yeah,
and it's growing in popularity. There's been just shy of 700 participants.
That's a really good number for a city like that. Yeah. And I will say we call that sensory nights, or sensory friendly sort of events and so forth. So really kudos to the city really wanting to play an intentional role in ensuring that all residents can engage. So the question, again, I'm going to emphasize, what is the city's core vision around accessibility? And maybe, Mayor, you can...
Sure, I can take a stab at it, and I know Don, with his many years, has probably a lot more that he can add, but I do want to piggyback a little bit on the Santa's Village element, because really that core vision is about incrementally improving, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
This thought of taking things that work and seeing what we can do to continue to expand them, and put for lack of another way of saying it, shine a brighter light on it. But also for us to constantly be looking for different ways for us to be able to take best practices that we see taking place in other cities and in other situations, and seeing what we can do to borrow from those and to be able to take those on. It may come as no major surprise that cities, all cities, our city included, deal with some incredible constraints when it comes to budgets and that sort of thing. And so we have to constantly be balancing the long list of desires and ways that we can do things that can continue to expand how accessible our events are and our city is all across the city with those budget constraints. And so that's some of the magic that happens by our city management team and looking for the best opportunities. But there are other opportunities, as was just mentioned, with Santa's Village and with things that we already do, where a small tweak can make such a big difference to a very large part of our population. And so, and what's neat about these nights that are really focused, or these opportunities that are really focused on inclusivity, is that everybody's invited. Right. And so it's not just those with disabilities that are enjoying those evenings, but people of all walks of life that can actually be a part of that, which actually makes it a bit more powerful. So excited to see that. And that's all kind of embedded in the vision of how we want to try and see our city continue to progress year over year.
Yeah. And you brought up another point that I kind of forgot about, but during the Wildflower Festival, people that needed ASL interpreters to engage with the performers. Again, little things like that goes a long way. And visually, whether you have a disability or not, it shows that accessibility piece. And truly, accessibility improves our bottom line in how do we make our services and our offerings more inclusive and accessible to all. I want to move forward. I want to talk in our commercial break, our first commercial. I do want to highlight that this year was a remarkable year for the North Texas Disability Chamber. We completed over 40 events this year. Next year, we have a new vision because next year we're celebrating 5 years of impact. And our focus next year is to stick with the programs that we've identified and make it bigger and better each year. We are excited that we want to pursue our second annual business and nonprofit reception back at the Eisman Center next year. So stay tuned for those details as they become available. I also want to make sure and encourage everybody that are listening, we would not have been able to do this podcast with the generous support in our donors. So if you want to support us, please go to our website at ntxdc.org and donate in support of our end of year giving campaign. We're back at this, and you highlighted, Mayor, and as well as City Manager, you highlighted the ADA transition plan. most cities and all cities have to incorporate some level of ADA transition planning. And yes, when you say roadmap, I think people need to realize the roadmap is to make sure that each year they're investing towards the goals of whether it's compliance or beyond compliance, whatever that might be. And oftentimes it's sidewalks is mainly in the physical side of settings, but sometimes ADA transition plans lean toward the digital assets of the city. And when you mentioned the website, we call that digital accessibility. So I really appreciate all of that. I want to talk about around community-driven decision making and how does community feedback influence the infrastructure planning, especially with the ADA transition planning that you're going through? But also, and Mayor, a different question for you is, why is community feedback so important when you make decisions on behalf of the city?
So I'll take that part, and I know Don has quite a bit that he can add to this as well. But I think both myself, but also the entire council, has a true desire to make ourselves as accessible as possible, and it's one of the strengths that we talk about, not just with our residents, but also with our business community. And so, first and foremost, we try to do everything we can to allow ourselves to be able to grab as much input as humanly possible. And I think the many different forms that can take, the many different ways that people can actually reach out to us and give us their feedback is a part of what actually helps feed our knowledge and of what is of interest for our residents. I can tell you one of the things that we're heading towards actually in the next year is adding even more accessibility to some of our different, not just council meetings, but also boards and commission meetings, where residents can now actually, without having to come to City Hall, without coming to meetings, be able to see and or listen to more and more of our committee meetings.
Are you talking about like hybrid sort of meetings,
Yeah.
both the virtual and the in-person component?
Yes, and the access to things like recordings of meetings that otherwise you would have previously only been able to come out and see in person. And so we want to do everything we can, both from a standpoint of transparency, but also from a standpoint of accessibility, to make sure that people have the ability to get out to us, to see what's going on, to understand how decisions are being made, and ultimately to be able to give us input along the way. So those are a couple of the things that we're doing from that perspective to make sure that voices are being heard in our community.
Very good.
Well, as the mayor said, we really do value public engagement in Richardson. And so just as an example, with respect to the infrastructure question, a lot of cities go about their bond program planning, and they have a special committee for that. We approached it a slightly different way because of the level of ongoing engagement we have with key stakeholders like our homeowner and neighborhood associations, our institutional partners. However, as the mayor mentioned, the Community Inclusion Engagement Commission, for instance, we bring our bond program recommendations to that committee so that they can weigh in and provide the important perspective of accessibility or other things that they may that we've asked them to focus on. And so citizen engagement and input is very important in our infrastructure planning. The council also created a bike and pedestrian advisory committee. That's a different kind of form of accessibility in many regards, but an equally important one. And so all of these stakeholder groups we engage as we go along the development of a bond program. And let me just kind of give you a real tangible example of two things that are going to come out of that. I'll be making a recommendation on Monday night to the council for the initial composition of the different propositions. As a result of some input that was provided to the council at a council meeting, we have decided to increase, or at least recommend increasing, the amount of dollars that are going to be put towards ADA improvements. So if this bond program gets passed as recommended, every single intersection in the city of Richardson will now have an audible, at every single intersection, they'll have an audible device for those trying to cross. And so input is not only received, but it's actually implemented on. Another example of that would be from the Pedestrian and Bike Committee, who said we need to really focus on closing the gaps in the sidewalks. another recommendation
Yeah.
will be to increase the initial dollars that were devoted to that for that reason. And so it's a valuable input, but I think what's most important is it's actionable because we take that input and we put it to work.
Yes. And I can't stress enough for anybody that's listening, as someone who's served on many boards and commissions, citizen input is so important, but also getting on a board and commission is not easy. You got to build the relationships with the city council and the mayor, as well as the city staff and the city manager. So relationships are crucial. It's important. In order you can garner their trust and their engagement with them, you got to build that relationship. And so that's one thing that I've learned over the years in collaborating and engaging with city governments is to build those relationships. And you guys kind of highlighted the crucial aspects of what boards and committees and commissions all play a role in providing that citizen input. I'm going to switch over to the business and workforce inclusion side of things. One thing I've stressed enough to a number of our peers is that I think City of Richardson is a city of innovation. And especially within the partnership with UTD, which is University of Texas at Dallas, as well as the IQ that you guys have, as well as the incredible startup community that you guys have. So Don and Mayor, can you highlight what innovation means to you within the City of Richardson?
So first and foremost, there isn't an opportunity where I get to speak on any kind of matter where I don't try to find a way to shoehorn UTD. And so I'm thankful that you did it for me. That makes my job a little bit easier. We're blessed to have a tier 1 university of that stature that is innovating literally every single day right there in the city of Richardson. And what that ultimately means and has the opportunity to mean for us as a city is for us to be able to take the very newest ideas, the very neatest innovations that are able to help us from an inclusivity perspective or an access perspective and see what we can do to actually begin to implement those things. And so as a city that has been known for innovation for so many decades and that continues to reinvent itself along those same lines, that is probably one of the biggest places where you're going to see innovation in inclusivity and accessibility that we could possibly have. And the good news about most of that is, unlike some of the infrastructure stuff that we're also working on, it's usually a lot less costly.
Yes.
And so for us to figure out what we can do in the digital space, but also in the smart city space, to be able to really leapfrog in some ways accessibility objectives, that's really just a key element in what it is that we can do to make a difference in our city.
So what the mayor has sort of highlighted, the importance of cross-sector collaboration. And that's one thing that I cannot stress enough, the importance of that. And working with different institutions, with different companies that enable the things that helps run the city or runs the business community. So we're stronger when we work together. So Mayor, your thoughts on the innovation within the City of Richardson?
Right. Well, let me take a little different perspective. I want to talk about our organization as the city as an organization. And some of the things that we've done. The mayor did such a good job of talking about our ecosystem.
Yes.
But as manager, I really want to focus on an innovative organization as well. And in this realm, with respect to accessibility, I'll tell you, I really need story. We went out and began to try to offer internships to in different sectors of our city. And we have 20 different business lines.
Yes.
So you literally could no matter what you're interested in, you can find something to do at the city. And so working with ISDs, we began to offer internships and for those that had different needs as well. And so not just through the traditional professional internship programs and those kinds, we really wanted to customize it. And we have a great success story coming out of that. We now have a student that has transitioned now from a part-time position and now works full-time at the Eisman. I think you know who I'm speaking of. Yeah. And so I think, just thinking a little bit out of the box as an organization and trying to engage in new ways, always with the priority of furthering inclusiveness and increasing accessibility. It's a fascinating organization, as I mentioned, with 20 different business lines, and we have the mindset of that the more accessible we are, the more powerful we'll be as an organization, and the more talent with different perspectives and viewpoints that we can bring in. And so I feel like that's everything the mayor said about our ecosystem as a city is true, but I also want to say that the 1,200 people I work with feel the same way.
Yeah, and what I love that you talked about was your people need to realize accessibility can mean many different things to people. Accessibility doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in the disability landscape. It could be how you do business, is how you build relationships. It could be how you communicate with people. And in this case, creating internship programs within your current workforce to give them a knowledge and a perspectives that you may not be familiar with in the city government level. And then later, I know the story, but later they said, I want to come back and work for this organization. So I think that kind of perspective, I think it's so important. And I know you wanted to say something.
I do. I will, as we were talking about cross-sector collaboration and that sort of thing, I think we'd both be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit, and especially we talked about multimodal transportation, but the fact of the matter is that we have been and we continue to be really strong advocates for DART. And that is also a meaningful element in the way that we support accessibility and parts of that multimodal transportation that not only include the buses that you see and the rail, but also our disability services that allow folks to be able to get from point A to point B with the least amount of trouble. And so we couldn't be, I don't think, much more proud as a city for all of the work that we've done for so many decades along these lines. It's not job done, but it's job well done thus far, and I hope that we can continue to move along that path. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned DART in the context.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because for those who don't know, we have over 50 organizations under our wing. And we had a virtual meeting recently, and the consensus is that we all want accessible and affordable public transportation. And our community needs it. Some of us need that door-to-door transportation type offering. Some would like to have the rail. And so we are very cognizant and aware of the needs for public transportation, and we're grateful that the city of Richardson not only incorporates that, but also is beneficial to students at UTD as well, because they use their sort of own bus system, and that kind of intersects with DART and so forth. So I thank you for highlighting that. I want to go into really focusing on your leadership and your styles. And I want to know, and this to help for our listeners and those that are watching, could you tell the viewers and listeners, what is your sort of leadership style, and how can people connect and build a relationship with you? What are some best practices? Because I think for many people who are listening, some of them are first new to the city governments, or they want to build a relationship, but they don't know where to begin. So what advice or tips that you might have? And I'll start with the mayor, and then city manager Don, you can elaborate on that.
Just when I was about to point to him first, you started with me. Thank you, Dylan. Listen, I think one of the things, just me personally, in terms of my own leadership style, I'm a huge collaborator. I really love trying to take in as much input as possible. I've personally been doing monthly coffees. I've been doing quarterly town halls, oftentimes with one of my council counterparts, with the intent of not only making sure that we're creating more opportunities for input, but also from time to time an opportunity to spitball and brainstorm together, and hopefully in a safe space where it can be a situation where we can really just understand what some of the different possibilities are for our city and determine how people feel about different options and that sort of thing. And so from my perspective, it's perhaps weird to say, but as much as I'm probably either credited or faulted for moving really quickly, I'm also in some cases an overly analytical person, and I like to try and get as much input as possible before being able to push things forward. And so what's exciting for me is that creates scenarios where I hear from so many different people from many different perspectives that I like to think that I at least get a fairly well-rounded set of inputs. And then the goal ultimately, and especially in this really unique relationship that we have between mayor and city manager, have that opportunity to really continue the brainstorming with the people who are actually going to be implementing the possible thing that could happen in the future. And so continuing to work in that way is what I hope and what I believe will ultimately help our city be able to be the very best it can be over a number of years.
Okay.
Mayor, so well said. I would say, I like to tell people that Richardson is a tale of two cities in many respects. It's a very, very sophisticated place. We have an $8 billion semiconductor manufacturing plant,
Yep.
but we're also a very small town, and relationships matter.
Yeah.
And I think that in terms of my leadership style, I want to focus first and foremost on the relationship. When I know someone well, I know what they define as success, I can build a plan to help them be successful. And that's really how we try to approach it as a city staff, whether it's economic development, whether it's someone advocating for greater accessibility. It doesn't matter what it is. The relationship is really first and foremost. And then beyond that, I really pride myself on trying to be both accessible and visible. You can be visible without being accessible, but they only really work. They only really work best when they're done together. And so I think I've met with TI on an $8 billion manufacturing plant, but I also meet with a small business owner on a grease trap, for instance. And so I really let relationships guide my interactions. And I would say the other thing is I never believe, I never once remember a time thinking that there wasn't a win-win. I think that everybody can come and walk away from whatever the experience is feeling like they've won in some way. And I really think that's kind of what differentiates Richardson in many ways when we're dealing, whether it's regional issues like DART, or whether it's other types of negotiations, or whether it's just working with a resident one-on-one.
Dylan, if you don't mind me interjecting, I want to say that leadership style is exactly what has caused Don to be so incredibly successful, not just in our city in doing amazing things, but also being respected regionally and being asked over and over again to be a player in helping solve some of the region's biggest problems. I also want to say, in part, starting off with Don, but also kind of the nature of our city and our city council. A good part of Don's start in city work was focused very much on neighborhoods. And when you're starting at that level, in the community services side, when you're talking to people person to person about everything from their grass being a little bit too long, or a tree limb hanging in the wrong place, or paint chipping off their property, that interaction, that ability to find that win-win that he just mentioned, that's where it all started. And as a city and as a city council, as mayor, I'm honored to be able to be a part of it. We spend so much time with our individual neighborhoods, making sure that from an accessibility perspective, they see us where they meet, not where we meet. And so although we do create an open environment for them to come to us, we often come to them. And so from a leadership perspective at the city management level, all the way through the electeds, you'll see us over and over again doing outreach to those individuals, while still keeping an eye on kind of the overarching strategy and goals for our city.
Well, I just want to let everybody know, knowing the city of Richardson, there's a mantra that I keep saying at every event, and I'm sure you've heard this a ton of times, Don, is to keep showing up, be present, and to show out. And not only within our communities, but what I've noticed with the city of Richardson, credits to the leadership, credit to your staff, but also credits to council and to you, the mayor, is that they have not only shown up, they are present at our events and our engagements. They meet us where we are. but we also meet with you guys as where you are, and is a collaborative and it's a relationship-driven city. And they truly show out by, I always say your behaviors and your actions kind of coincide together, but their actions have truly shown. And I truly believe the city of Richardson is not only a city of innovation, but of inclusion. I'm just going to say one last rapid round question is, what is one word to describe the Richardson's future, Mayor?
I'll double down on innovation.
Okay.
If we were to only take that one word in every single direction, innovation is exactly where we are as a city.
And then rapid round for you, Don, city manager of the city. Can you say what is one moment that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I would say the community's response to the tornado that hit the city in 2019. It was a first time in modern history that the city ever experienced a natural weather event like that. And the response, the neighbors helping neighbors. I mean, it was just an absolute. It was an absolute miracle. The way first of all, it was a miracle. No one was injured seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a blessing. But the way that the community came together almost instantaneously and then supported each other for months and months and months. Mayor Omar was part of that, planting trees in Richland Park and Richland Oaks. I mean, it was a really special thing.
Yeah. Well, that is it for the this episode, and I want to say thank you, Mayor Omar, as well as thank you, City Manager Don, for being a part of this elaborate discussion. We're grateful for our collaboration and our partnership. I just want to let everybody know this is our fifth episode that we just completed for 2025. We're excited to move into next year for celebrating 5 years of impact. Last call to just say, if you want to give and you feel like you want to give in support of our organization, please do so on our website at www.ntxdc.org. I also want to remind everybody the importance of Let's Work Inclusively, whether you're a business, you're a nonprofit, or a government. Building those relationships, collaborating with one another, looking at the best interests for both sides and how we can grow together. And most importantly, I want to handshake Don as well as Amir. But in the meantime, I do want to say thank you all for tuning in. Looking forward to continuing next year. But most importantly, have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Thank you.